Welcome back to the Ellie Bond Show, unfiltered, uncensored, raw and real. And coming in beside me today is a woman that embodies all of those things. She's a powerhouse in the wellness space, a mother, entrepreneur, and one half of, I think, New Zealand's most hilarious families. Welcome to the show, Jojo.
What an intro. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to host you here because I first came across your account a few years ago on Instagram, and that husband of yours has to be one of the funniest guys around. And so that I guess piqued my interest.
Do you know what? I'm not going to let him listen to this podcast because whenever anyone says how funny he is, his head just gets a little bit bigger. So... No, he is. He's very funny, clearly, because I laugh at all his jokes. So
yeah, so you have got an incredible, I guess, past in terms of business yourself, and so I always like to go backwards, I guess, in time with any guest. So if we go back to your career, which I understand started, and for a period of time you were actually in the media as a radio host, doing, I guess, what we're doing now, but live on air.
Yeah, it was really different. So when I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a sports broadcaster. That was my biggest dream. So I went off to broadcasting school and I studied radio, and then got my dream job as an intern at Radio Sport, straight out of broadcasting school. So I moved from small town little Motueka girl, moved up to Auckland and started working in sports broadcasting. And oh my God, I just absolutely loved it. It was this mind blowing opportunity. And then I moved through the various, I think once you're in media, it's like this little family of and you can't, and I studied all aspects when you're at broadcasting school, and you meet people and you've generally, you make connections and you've got different skill sets, so you move through the industry. So I went from sports broadcasting and journalism then into marketing and rock radio and just met wonderful people. So I've had a pretty cool 10-year career in radio.
And so what, I guess, took you out of the radio airwaves into the next space, which I believe was wellness and boxing alley? Was
yes. So my husband Mike was always involved with boxing alley. He studied a Bachelor of Sport, major in coaching, was going to be a golf coach, and then just started PTing as a student at Boxing Alley, and then never left, so became a boxing coach. And eventually we purchased the gym off the previous owner. It would have been 15 years ago or so now. So we both had ownership in that when we were together. But and I was still in radio, and I got to the point in my career where I was almost burnt out. I'd had enough. I'm one of these people that if I'm doing something, I give everything to it. My hours were way too long. And I think as a lot of young people, I lacked the boundaries of what was work time and what wasn't work time. With technology, you can answer emails anytime. You can, be posting on social media, engaging in things. And I think I just completely drained myself. So I literally just resigned with no job to be going to, but at the time I was studying the back end, my health coaching, purely though for my own health, to support myself. And then I think once I finally stopped and got that clarity of mind and removed the stress from the busyness of my career, I was like, actually, this is the path where I really want to head down. I am a people person. And I love helping people. So that was kind of then what led for me. And it aligned really well with owning a health and wellness space and a fitness gym to then take that path, I guess. Do I miss radio? Yes, I do. I miss the people. That's what I missed so much about when I first left. But you can still see beautiful people like that.
You can.
Yeah.
So was leaving the radio job post-children or
pre-children?
Pre-children.
Yeah, that was pre-children. And I won't remember years, but I graduated with my qualification in 2014. So I had a child in end of 2015. So I had a year and a half practicing before I took maternity leave, I guess. From my, you don't really take maternity leave when you're like self-employed so much.
No,
because there's no one else to do it.
Been there, done that. In
Yeah.
fact, all four of my children were born whilst I was running my own company. So the juggle was real, and yeah, I can really, I guess, identify with that.
Yeah.
And so I know that I guess post natal depression was a challenge for you.
It was huge. It was. Do you know what? I think one of the hardest things about it was because I am so bubbly and so confident and so friendly, and am very good, I guess I was good at masking to outside people what was actually going on. One of the most challenging times when Rocco was first born, obviously Mike and I have an incredibly close relationship. Like, we met when I was 21 and we're now in our early 40s. So we've been together for like nearly 19 years. He knows me so well and can read me like a book. He knew I wasn't well. Even I wasn't feeling well. And it took a lot for, I guess, experts, or like, you know, we went to one doctor and they were like, no, it's just, you know, it's part of it, to get the right help. And I've spoken about it before, like having Mike really advocate for me, and he was like, no, this is not good enough, like she isn't well, was just incredible. I think it sounds awful in the way I say that she isn't well, but he was just like, this isn't my girl, she's not at her best right now, like somebody help us. I think even as a support person for someone with a mental health illness, like they need the support as well. And I think that's what he was so wanting so much, was to help me get well and get back to being myself, because all I felt, which is just horrible, was that I felt that little baby Rocco and Mike deserved better than me. I was in such a bad place that I wanted him to find some other lovely woman who would care for my child and be with my husband. Like, and I just want to wrap that woman up, me, and I'm so proud that she's well now, but like, to even be thinking like that, it's so sad, isn't it?
Ground zero.
Yeah.
So how long were you in that ground zero period for?
That's a really good question. I think I probably came out of it enough to, another story, when Rocco was probably like 6 months old and I was really, really unwell. We always wanted more than one child, but I remember like clearly sitting on the step outside. I think we'd probably struggled to get him down for a nap, and I was crying to Mike and I was like, I'm really sorry, babe, we're just going to have to adopt a 2-year-old. Like, the thought of having to go through what I was going through again. But I obviously got well enough. And I was pregnant again, I think, when he was about 14 months old. So it was probably like a full year before I started to feel a little bit.
Okay.
I still definitely wasn't myself completely.
And when you felt pregnant again, was there was there fear that, oh my goodness, I'm going to go through that horrid time again?
Yes. So I had prenatal anxiety. I think that was because of what the experience I had. But we were determined to, I guess, have the right support systems this time. We had an au pair for the first 3 months of, or probably once, so Brax is our second child. From about 5 weeks old till about 4 months, we had a live-in au pair, and she was just incredible. And it was almost, yes, she did help me with things, because both the boys were at home. They didn't go to kindergarten at that, or daycare at that point. Rocco wasn't even 2, I think, when Brax was born. But having that, it was almost the company, I think, and because the other, I think, big factor for us was, or for me, was I had gone from living in Ponsonby and Parnell and really, really social areas of Auckland, to buying our own house and moving to Conifer Grove, which was a nice part, but out south, so completely removed from my friends, and also that huge, I'd been a career girl, you know, I'd been in broadcasting, I'd just started my own business as a health coach, and then all of a sudden, which sounds horrible, I was just a mum. And like, I know now, and now that I am well, and now that I share with so many women, like, you are a mum, like that is incredible.
It's a job in itself, and then some.
It is. And I think that being in that difficult mental state, and then also with that belief system that I was holding on to, just doing what I was doing, it really wasn't a good place to be in. So my postnatal experience of our second child was just so much better. But then there's also that guilt of like, I felt the guilt of like poor Rocco and what he had to. But Mike said, like, you were still an amazing mum. Like, you did what you needed to do. You just felt awful inside yourself.
How did he cope for himself through that time?
Yeah, that's just. He really had to reach out to a lot of people for support. And it was, I guess, because I have always been okay in myself and comfortable. It took a lot for people to really understand what was going on. He has some really amazing friends, a couple of guy friends that have also experienced mental health challenges. So whilst they couldn't quite relate to what I was going through with a baby in tow, they knew that Mike needed that, like the check-ins and also I think one of the big things was he still kept ensuring that he was looking after himself as well. So this one story is of when we had, I just, was finding it hard to leave the house, and he was like, can you just go and buy a plant or something, and sent me out. And so I went and got this plant and we've planted it, and we now call it my mental health plant because it's thriving. Oh, wow. But like, so he would still get out and go for a run, and I wasn't in a position where I felt comfortable enough to do that, but he would still look after himself. So I think it's that he just kept his communication open with his mates and just really did care for himself during those times.
Which is so important. I think that often the care person, if you like, their well-being is so integral to because without it, you both fall flat.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, what he is the most beautiful heart. He's so kind and caring. And what he did with Boxing Alley, they aligned with a couple of guys. Actually, they're no longer working for them, but they're still involved in the charity. Harley Davidson Auckland and Moa Beer. So these 5 guys came together and created a charity, and the charity is called Wood for the Trees. And the idea is that the charity supports the people supporting those with mental health challenges. So one of the projects they donated to was Jazz Thornton. When she was creating her movie, they donated money to her to be able to create the film. So it was like anything to help bring awareness to what people are struggling with. And that was one of his, he wanted to do more and feel like, so he went in and created a charity, which, like, what a man, eh?
Absolutely. What a man. And I guess, you're in the space where you've had the children, and you're moving through postnatal depression, starting to enjoy life as a new mum, and I've overcome that hurdle. How long was from start to finish of you being, I guess, under being the high energized JoJo that you're renowned for?
Do you know what? I think it really took probably 5 years to start to feel like I had a bit of spark in me again. Like that long. Like, I mean, I wasn't, obviously, I think those very early, there's probably 12 months where I was just so unhappy. And then you'd see snippets of light, and then just to really have that spark back in me. Like, I was still a wonderful mum and doing all the things, but you just going through the motions of life, I think.
Did you reach for any meds to help you through that time?
Yes. So after my second born, I took citalopram through my doctor. I wasn't breastfeeding. I breastfed Rocco and then stopped breastfeeding with Brax. And that again was a really interesting, I think, mental added pressure for me. I had enough milk to feed my baby. I felt like I should be doing it, but then all that pressure that I was putting on myself again was just too much. And the making that decision to not breastfeed Brax and take some medication to support myself so I could get at a level where I could then do the things that I needed to do to make myself well was so freeing. Because I think that's another thing, like going back to when I was first diagnosed, when Rocco was little, I remember crying again to Mike and saying like, am I going to, like I'd been to a therapy session and I was like, am I going to have to like do this work forever? And he was like, yeah, you are. And I remember being upset about that. But almost now it's like the work I do is, I exercise and I eat well and I'll meditate and I'll journal and I'll make sure I've got little snippets that sounds like a lot of things I do every day. It's not a lot, but creating joy in every day, it's amazing to do that, to keep yourself well and keep yourself mentally well is amazing. So that period of going from being so sad, so low to slowly getting to where I've really got my spark, it would have been a good 5 years, I think.
So was that medication a antidepressant?
Yeah, antidepressant and anti-anxiety as well, kind of a combination of the two, because I think it was, you've got little kids, you're nervous about different things, but it was more of an antidepressant support for me.
I know for me, I had my first child and I had not attended any antenatal classes. I had read one book, Up the Duff, and so when he was born, it was holy fuck.
Yeah.
What do I do when I get him home? And I remember the first 3 weeks were a real haze because he wasn't a grand sleeper. And thankfully at my end, things settled pretty quickly. And I class myself as being a luxury and not having endured that, but I've seen a lot of friends go through postnatal depression, and it's been really debilitating for families, for marriages, relationships. So kudos to you both for keeping your connection going through such a harrowing time, because it really is.
And I think because you're probably like, Mike probably was looking at me thinking like, who is this woman? And when you're so low, you often don't want to help yourself too, which can be very frustrating. And there would be, I remember like at times he would get frustrated, and then as soon as he got frustrated, he felt awful and he'd be like, I'm so sorry. It'd be very rare that he did, which was like, I'm so blessed that he was such an incredible support, because I know how hard it is. But, him understanding that it wasn't a choice for me to feel that way. And yes, I could work to get myself better. And actually he has said that so many times, is I have always wanted to better myself. I've wanted to care for myself. I've always tried really hard to be well and stay well. And I think he said that's why he's remained, I mean, he obviously loves me, but has stayed with me through all the challenging times.
Which is absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
I really admire that.
Yeah.
And so I guess you go on beyond the children, and then what took you into socials, and I guess the realms of what you've created, because you and Mike are literally in the top, I think, three couples in New Zealand in terms of influence numbers, and I think you've got a Facebook following of over 2 million.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think there's a couple of I think the total audience across all platforms is about 6.5-7 million, which just is insane.
It's larger than our country.
Yeah,
in terms
nuts,
of
it?
size. Yeah.
Yeah. And I won't say it happened by fluke, but so the preface of the social media jokes is that like Mike has always been a joker in the household. He's always he loves banter. If anyone was a client of his, so he was a PT for 20 years, and what he loved about his job was just having fun with his clients. And he actually trained a lot of very wealthy people. He trained a lot of well-known people, and he would just rip shit out of them, and they would laugh, they'd have good fun with it. And I think that's what they loved, was that there was someone that just wasn't scared, just to have a bit of fun with them. And they went in, and they obviously got fit as well. But he's always had a joke with me as well. I don't think a lot of friends actually, when they first saw our social media, they're like, how are you still with him? I was like, well, it's him. It's not serious. It's a joke. So he, during lockdown, COVID times, obviously our gym was shut, and we were making videos to try and get people onto our Zooms to do some boxing classes. So there would be like boxing content and things.
So
and
initially it was actually designed to really increase your business
yeah.
following. And
Yeah. But so there was nothing about me. There was no jokes. It was just, boxing content. And then I think he managed to find, this sounds really old fashioned now, he managed to find an audio and played a piece of audio. And it was to me and videoed my reaction. So we had like a little Airbnb studio at our house. And I think we'd obviously had to like kick the guests out because we were locked down and they'd left. And I was out there cleaning it. And he came out and just started filming this piece of audio. So I looked like, I normally do. Like I had like no makeup on, was cleaning clothes, whatever. And it was about me becoming my mother. And he posted that. And like the other videos had a couple of thousand views, and this one got like 100,000 views.
so did you see the actual content before he posted it?
No. He just came out and he's like, I just want to film something. And I was like, oh, like, okay, all right. No. And like I laughed because I am becoming my mother, like I love my mum. There's some aspects I may not want to become.
That's classic.
But yeah, I am. And Mike and my mum have a really good relationship. I have brothers, and so mum tells Mike that he is her favourite son-in-law because she only has one. And he actually makes as much fun of her as he does. Like the jokes he has with me, he has with her as well, but she gives it back to him. So
brilliant.
It's great. So that's why that joke, I think for me, really resonated. And I can't act I'm also very expressive in my face. My son even said to me, he was homesick for a couple of weeks and he'd watch me write emails, and he said to me, he goes, Mummy, like, why do you do those things with your face when you're writing an email? So I'm obviously like in the moment. Yeah. And so that first video went off, and then he went back to making more boxing videos or whatever.
Was that on Facebook?
That was on Instagram. So it all started on Instagram. And that took off, and then he found maybe another audio and did another one, and that took off. And then he kind of just went with it from there. And the interesting thing was, like, with Instagram, it was, for him, it was just like a really fun game. Like he didn't dive into Facebook until we were well into, I guess, being into content creation. And the reason he crossed over and created a Facebook profile is there was a fake profile using our content on Facebook that had something like 60,000 followers. And he was like, hang on. And so he created one himself. And that has grown very, very fast.
So what are your numbers roughly across all the platforms?
I think there's 1.5 on Instagram, 2.5 on Facebook, nearly at 1 million on YouTube, 1 million on TikTok. And I'm not quite sure what Threads is at the moment, but it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And so I understand that you are now, both you and Mike, are full-time, literally creating content for people like me and my audience to watch and have a good laugh over.
It's really, and and Mike said, we were talking to the boys just this morning, and we were talking about careers and what you wanted to do. And I don't quite know why it came up, but Mike said, we're so... Oh, he was trying to explain how some people find that they need to have an escape from their job because they don't love their jobs. And I can't quite remember why it came up, but Mike said, like, I live my dream. Like I create banter. I get to have fun with my wife every day. This is my dream job. Like, I'm just so fortunate. And the same as me. Like, we create content together. I'm still health coaching, and I love empowering women and empowering others to believe in themselves. Like, that's just at my core is what I have always loved. So I can create content to do that, and then I can also coach with my app on the side. But I can't even remember what the question was. But it was, we're living the dream. We are so fortunate.
And so, how's it changed your life? Has it changed your life? I guess let's look at the positives that have come from it first, perhaps.
It's changed our life in so many ways. One, in that we are together, not all the time, but nearly all the time. Like Mike would leave previously at like 4:30 in the morning and be home at 5 o'clock at night and be exhausted. So as a boxing trainer, you're physically training people every day. So he has more energy and is home, and he has more of a presence in the boys. So the boys are now 7 and 9, and we both work from home, so we can be involved in school activities, we're involved in the like after school sports and coaching or managing aspects. So as a family, it's just amazing. We've been able to when we moved, so we moved from Auckland to Whangamata on the coast just over 2 years ago. And when we first moved, I guess it was quite a risk. So at that point, we weren't making any money off any social media platforms at all. And you can't make any money off Instagram in New Zealand. And I think that was the only platform we really had grown 2 years ago. And so we were running the gym, and the gym was kind of still rebuilding outside of COVID. And I think most gym owners will say like it's been very, very challenging times post-COVID to people have learned they can train online and things. So that move was a really high risk. And then and knowing that we'd still be able to make an income, you know. And I've now completely lost my train of thought. But we managed to get it going from there, and finding like, so Mike did his research and found obviously that there was this other Facebook page, and then learnt more about YouTube. And I think for him, YouTube is just so interesting. He's really like, when he decides he's going to do something, he's like all in, and he's like this little nerd, like learning about everything behind the scenes of it all.
Determined and resilient by the sounds of it.
Yeah, he is very determined.
So across the various platforms, which is the most, I guess, financially rewarding?
YouTube, definitely. It's and it feels, I guess, safest. I don't know. It's the way it seems to be set up. Like it's very much made for people to go and discover like just what they want to see, and they're going to see it. So it's very much a niche audience. Like they're coming to watch what they want to watch, and it's all the money is made all through advertising. We do some collaborations with different brands, but yeah, it's all advertising there at the moment.
And so the pluses are more time as a family. You're doing what you love on the daily.
Yes,
you don't have that 9 to 5 grind that so many families have to tolerate, I guess.
We are honestly like, and we are so grateful. We live by the beach on the coast. Like we often think back to being in our home in Conifer Grove when the boys were little, and like you feel like you're in this enclosed space, and we have the freedom to go for a surf after school. Like it's amazing. The travel we're able to do with the boys now, I guess a little bit more too, is just in having that freedom of like not having to be tied to a gym or a job where we're needing to take leave. We take our job with us, you know. Mike will film me wherever I am, and then same with my health coaching. I just need a laptop and I can connect with clients. So we're able to. I'm from the South Highlands, so we can pop down to mum and dad, you know, with the boys, especially as they're getting older. Like they're in their early 70s now, so we're able to have that freedom of travel and things. It's been amazing. What's
the impact been on the boys? The boys must have seen mum and dad just be a regular mum and dad doing regular jobs.
Yeah.
And until all of a sudden mum and dad are on all these platforms with this huge audience.
Yeah.
How have they handled, I guess, the fame that's come with this new lifestyle of yours?
Do you know what is so cool? It's like, I just love that kids are kids, because they're just like, I get stopped in the public like all the time, no matter where we are, and that's what I also love about it is people are so like they're like, oh, you're that girl, or they'll be like, the woman walked past me at the supermarket the other day, and she's like, you're the woman that makes me laugh every day, and I was like, that's just such a nice thing to be known for. But I talk to anyone and everyone, and so the boys are with me, and they're like, oh no, my mum's boring, like no, you don't need to talk to her, like they're like, come on. They don't really they don't think it's cool or anything, other than the fact that when you get a certain amount of subscribers on YouTube, you get this plaque. And when we got 100,000, I think the next one we get is like when we finally hit 1 million, and we had this plaque that has 100,000 subscribers, and Mike put it at the entranceway to our house. It wasn't really a place that I wanted to have it, with my like beautiful books and things. Classic. But anyway, and we happened to have, I think it was our youngest, maybe 6th birthday, and the parents were like dropping the kids off. No one like saw it except every child that walked in.
Wow.
Was like, oh my God, like you're on YouTube. It's quite scary how many kids knew what YouTube like was.
But they do.
I mean, and interestingly, we don't really let our children watch YouTube. They are allowed to watch, and they watch some surfing shows and golf shows. But we've got quite strict boundaries around it. I guess also because they know what our job is and they see us on our phones. We try to have really good boundaries around it, but we try to are trying to teach them that it is work, and we set time aside and we put it down and we get outside and things. But yeah, that's kind of a fun side of it, is these wee kids thing. But the boys are just like, whatever, mum and dad. Like,
has there been any backlash to them through school, through, I guess, schoolyard chit chat?
not really. Do you know what? It's been funny. I think kids have been kind of all right about it. I think it's been more like they've had a few kids be like, your mum and dad, like, you're on YouTube. A little bit like a little bit of street cred for them. Like, not that you want that, but you know what I mean? Like, it's been positive. I think because our values behind what we share is supposed to be fun and joyful, and maybe if we were, I don't know what kind of content we'd need to share to upset people so much, you still do. You can't, not everyone is out there will like who you are or what you're doing, or they may not be in a good space themselves. So there is like a negative side to it, but the 99% is super positive.
Yeah, which leads us into the negative space, which must accompany, I guess, anything that anybody does, unfortunately, in that social space, because not everybody out there watching or listening is somebody that's got a grand life themselves.
No.
And so I know a couple of weeks ago that you referenced that you'd had some trolling.
Yeah.
And so can you talk me through that?
I mean, it's been a real learning journey for me. I would probably call myself quite a sensitive person. And initially I would take any comment. So and this is what is crazy. You can have hundreds of thousands of positive comments and there's like one negative one, and I would read that and then I would tell Mike about it. And Mike is great. He doesn't even, like, for him it's like water off a duck's back. He's like, whatever. But he knows who I am, and I would read it and I'd be like, oh my God, like, they think that of me? I can't even think what it would be. Or like people might comment about, like, if I smile you can see a lot of my gum, like, whatever.
Oh, you're kidding.
I know. They'll find the smallest thing. But I think learning that I've always I coach it, like, with your mind and knowing that it's generally someone else's insecurity, but it's just so interesting, like, when it happens to you. And I guess it's part of it, the trolling and the negative stuff, and even people putting Mike down or putting your relationship down. So they're seeing like 2 minutes of your life and all of a sudden you want to defend yourself. And it's like, actually, with the people that are writing their comments, there is those, if they're super negative, there is no point, because they're just going to find something, to pull you down even more. And I just have, one of the things I keep coming back to is reminding myself that it's generally their space that they're in, what they're feeling, and our intentions behind what we do it's always to bring joy, to help someone have a little bit of a laugh, because that might be the only laugh they get. Like, we know we're blessed to live in New Zealand. We know we are blessed to own a home. We can put food on the table every day. Like, they are like massive wins, for some people, and to be where we are, we're just so fortunate. So I'm a lot more empathetic to the trolls, and whereas Mike might just have a wee go back at them for a bit of a laugh sometimes. But
tell me a bit about that, because obviously you've got an option to either block them and do nothing, or if Mike does go back, what's generally the reaction? Does he hear back? Or
sometimes people because he'll try to be funny. Sometimes they will just not respond. Sometimes they'll try and they're never funny back though. They'll just be like, okay, full stop, because they've got no comeback. So
of course,
Mike's always like, yes. I do a lot more blocking, because I'm just like, I don't want to deal with you. Just block.
So who manages which platform?
So
do
Mike,
you divvy it up?
No, Mike manages all the Mike and Joelle platforms. It's just too hard to respond to all the comments, but we'll take turns. Like, so every day I'll go in for maybe 10 minutes across the platforms and reply to a few comments, and just try to ignore the negativity.
Yes.
And then as far as like the DMs and things go, you cannot keep up. And that's one of the harder things, I guess, for me, because I'm very community orientated. It's just letting that go. The thought of we did talk about possibly, because you can outsource a lot of that now, but then it's not us. And we've I think there's like an automated message, maybe even just on Facebook, that says like we just can't keep up with our inbox. We're grateful for your support, but that's where it's at right now. I mean, and the other side of it is just the creepiness. That's the other negative side. Like 90% of the men that follow us are wonderful. Their language is okay, and then you just get some creeps that are just yuck. And I'm a woman in her early 40s who looks after herself, who is fit. We are in New Zealand summer, so it is hot, and I choose to I'm in a short skirt today. I've always worn short skirts. Actually, at broadcasting school, in our little board meeting group, we would make notes before a project, and in the minutes they'd always put Joelle a short skirt check. So I've always worn short skirts.
Perfect. Never changed.
No,
Yeah.
I've got my mum's legs, so I'll
flash them.
Yeah, exactly. But then it's just creepy men that in the comments that are just like, oh.
What's your ratio of male versus female followers?
It's 50-50.
Wow.
It's right down the middle, and that is across, except for YouTube is more male. Across all the platforms except for YouTube. Yeah. And again, interestingly on YouTube, the core age demographic is 50 plus, which I thought was interesting just with the technology side. But YouTube is just a growing platform, and most people are watching YouTube on their television sets now too, rather than just on their phones.
On their phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess who is trolled more? Mike or you?
Me. Well, that's actually a really good question. I was going to say me. Maybe that's like my filter. I'm just like looking for myself. The one thing that bothers me is when they troll Mike and people will say, like, doesn't he do anything? He never does anything. He follows you around with a camera. Well, it's because it's the 2 minutes of a snippet that you see in the day. And then also, but Mike loves it when they say that, because he's just like, well, that's the whole preface behind it. Like, he films me when I'm busy doing something. And I'm a bit of a clean freak. I like things to have their place. I don't really stop and just sit still. I'm always busy doing something. And he's also not going to film me during our time when we might be watching something on television in the evenings, because that is our time. We do have boundaries around.
I was going to ask you about this too.
Yeah. So he'll film me when I'm busy cleaning or making food, because that's just when I'm busy doing something. And so it looks like he's not doing anything. But he actually thrives on that now too. That people think he doesn't do anything. He does.
So boundaries. How have you created boundaries, and what are those? What do they look like?
Yeah, that has been something we've kind of had to really navigate. It got to a point like end of last year where you just fall back into old habits sometimes too. Like, we'd both be like, the boys would go to bed, we'd both be on our phones, and we are working, but like, you can then sit there for an hour and like next to each other and not talk, and we've still been on this phone. So we now actively like put our phones like back in the bedroom or something, like we might do, and we'll say to each other, it might be like last night, he's like, I've got 15 minutes, I just need to get this done. I'll be like, cool, and then whatever. I think he actually folded the washing and makes it sound like he doesn't do anything. I've just said he does. And then we put the phones away, and then that was our time together. So it's the other thing we are really conscious of is trying not to be on our phones around the boys. I know, but sometimes we are. It's just a part of life. They're there. Someone might need an urgent response. Maybe it's an agency or something, and so it's just communicating with the boys like, this is work. And having it, the more out of sight our phones are, is the better, I think, for us, as far as not, it becomes such a habit to automatically reach for it.
It does, and I'm guilty as fuck of that myself.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us have fell into that trap.
And I think one other thing, like one thing I've been trying with myself lately is like, when I'm waiting in a queue for something, you know how you just automatically like stand in a queue and you go, it's awkward standing here, like you get your phone out. I've been trying not to get my phone out, and it feels really weird, but like you're just there. You're just like, because I think one of the things I've really had to navigate, like my health coaching is a very much an integrative approach. So it's having time away from technology and off phones and off social media. And I used to have incredible boundaries. before I was showing up myself, I guess, all the time. So now it's like reinstalling those boundaries in myself. And it's so freeing just having that break around it, because it's like a whole nother world sometimes if you do stay on it all the time. And if I was to look at like a negative comment, and then you almost have that like filter on for that negativity. And so if I'm in that space, it's like you've just got to get off your phone, have a break. Or I actually have a folder on my phone that has I screenshot beautiful messages or really positive comments of, there's so many people who've helped either like inspired to get moving and lose weight, people who have been in hospital really unwell, someone have lost a loved one and they've had a bit of joy. Like I keep all of those in a folder, because
fabulous.
It's just amazing. And I've cried. Like Mike has filmed me. I remember his 40th, we were in Queenstown, and I read out a message to him, and he's still got the video of it. And I'm like bawling from like these kind words someone had shared. And like it truly does mean a lot to us.
That must be incredible to know that you're having that impact on people every day and creating joy, I guess. For your followers.
Just from being yourself as well, I think.
What do you think that people get most wrong about you and Mike?
Oh, that's a good question. I think one, the presumption that he's like really lazy. I think people don't. He is a very intelligent, hardworking man, and I think people don't quite realize how clever he is. He's a very, very clever man. And again, also the same with me. There's and that's possibly where I get a little bit defensive is if you were only to ever see some of our videos and I just like laugh, and people think there's like, people have said like, does she talk? Is that all she does? Clean the house? Like sometimes I'm like, I'm like a strong, independent woman. I've had a career in broadcasting. I've got my own business. Like I've raised 2 children. I'm like, oh, that one kind of obviously grinds my gears a little bit. So that's just that's probably what they get most wrong, is that we're actually like 2 very clever business people sharing a very small snippet of our lives.
So what's the favorite prank that of Mike's? Because it's a lot to actually create content on a daily basis to bring joy to the masses.
Yeah.
But is there one of his that has stood out? Because I've half been expecting him to jump out from the curtain and actually prank us both.
I know. He actually he pulled out the drive the other day and was sitting in his car for ages, and I knew he was on his phone, and we needed him inside for something. I think the boys, I don't know, maybe they'd set up something. The boys set up jokes now too. So that's actually probably a side effect of what Mike does, is they now prank me and him. But he had his mum on speakerphone, and she's like, oh, Joe's not going to like that. And I was like, what's she not going to like? And Mike was like, nothing. But apparently there's some big prank coming. But as far as what I've loved, there's a piece of audio that I really enjoyed, that I really related to a lot. And it's actually been, people have called me it when they've like seen me in public, is there's an audio about my little helper, and it was an audio in a vehicle, in a car. And, I always tell Mike when the light's turning red, or that there's a car parked there, or that car's passing there, and it's just my little helper in the car. And it's like, I actually, some people have said, how are you not offended by that? He was trying to be patronizing. I was like, no, he wasn't at all. He's just joking. And also, like, I like to think of myself, I am a little helper
in the car.
Yeah, or everywhere actually. Yeah. I am his little helper.
Have you done multiple videos with you being in the car as the little helper?
Well, there's just that one audio, but there's lots of videos of me in the car, probably different versions of being very helpful in the car. Fabulous. I'm very helpful everywhere.
Now, do you ever drive the car, or does he always drive the car?
If we're together, he would prefer to drive. I like to think I'm a good driver. Actually, I had to go to a rugby meeting the other week, and I had to pick up a couple of parents, and I said, "Oh, Mike said to warn you that you're in the car with me," and we went from Whangamata to Thames, so it's quite a windy drive. And when we got back, and Ryan, who was in the front seat, he's like, you can let Mike know that actually you're quite a good driver. What I didn't tell Mike was that Ryan had a couple of beers at work, he had a couple of beers in the car, and he had a couple of beers at the rugby meeting. And so he'd had plenty by the time we got home. But hey.
Classic.
Yeah.
So I guess when did you have that aha moment that this has really taken off? Was there such thing as an aha moment that this is just getting bigger than Texas? What started out as a bit of fun during COVID to fill the days and promote a business has just become this whole business in itself, a beast of a business.
Yeah.
And we are literally now with all these followers watching us on the daily. Was there a moment where you thought, how did we get here?
Yeah, I think like it's when I think maybe we hit 1 million followers on Instagram. And like I think I'd followed a lot of people in the wellness space, and like you see that number, the people with 1 million, and you're like, wow, like it's really, you think they must be successful. Like that's, you can be successful in any way, but it's interesting that was like a thing I'd probably tied to it. And it's when people would come up to us and say things like, New Zealand's a small place, like
it's a one horse country, really.
Yeah,
isn't
it is. And that blew my mind. Actually, we were on a plane to Rarotonga for my dad's 70th birthday. So this was a couple of years ago. And the air steward and two people on the plane like came up to us just on this, like, you're in a very small space, and they had recognized us as well. So I think it was once people started recognizing who we were and just being so positive and kind about it. That was pretty like, wow. Like, and it's also going, okay, like, where do you go with it? Like, can he keep going with it? And he can, like, so far he can. So it's fun.
I was going to ask you about that because what are your plans and that you've got coming up?
Yeah.
Do you see yourselves doing this for another 10 years, 5 years? Have you had conversations about that, or are you just running with
just
the dream
as it goes? We're just like living the moment to moment. Mike would love to like keep, like, he believes it can keep going for like another 10 years. For me, it's like whether the audience, I mean, there's billions of people in the world. So if we still have the audience, we'll still keep creating. It's interesting. People have said like, wouldn't you two go on tour? Like, I don't think I'm not a comedian. I'm reacting.
I've thought the same thing, and I'd be buying tickets.
You
if
would?
You do the show,
because we've talked about like I guess hosting comedy shows and with comedians, and then we're the hosts, and that's something that like that excites me. That would be really fun. Like, we go to a lot of comedy shows, and we've got a lot of connections with comedians all across the world now, which is just amazing. So to be able to do something like that would be like, that just blows. It all still blows my mind. Like, Mike is a farm boy from Mangatawhiri. I'm a orchard girl from Motueka, and we just happen to be living this insane.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Have there been moments where you've thought though, oh, chuck it in the whakabucket. This is all too hard. I've been trolled today, and is it worth it?
Yeah.
I would like that little life that is less intruded upon by randoms, I guess.
Yeah. There was one point last year, and Mike actually ended up doing a post about it, where I think I'd felt there was just so much grossness from men, and there are sadly a lot of fake profiles across social media that use my image or my name or both of us and engage with people and talk as if it's me. And that's always bugged me. But there's thankfully Meta have a lot more controls, and we're getting that under control. But there was that, and aligning with gross men, that Mike then made a stand and was like, she's not an object, she's a woman. Like, I think it's the perception some people have of he's posting me so they can say what they want, like that they maybe, I don't know. And we both had a really serious chat about like my mental health. I was well, but I was starting to get like really frustrated at this point. Like, we're here to bring joy, and then this is what these people are doing. Yes, it was a very small percentage, but it's just also managing those boundaries again.
How do you know that the men are indeed men and they aren't envious women?
That's actually a really good point. I've never thought about that. Because they could be fake profiles doing that same thing. Like you say, trolls. I have never thought about it like that. But yeah, because like these, you can tell that the fake profiles are very much fake. If you're if you're clever enough to like read the names, or like it's just obviously people are just so busy, they see a photo and they write back to it.
So how do you shut down if you've got people setting up accounts in yours and Mike's name, pretending to be the two of you? Yeah,
we have to report every single one, and
Okay.
there are hundreds. But thankfully, we now have a contact at Meta, and they have a team on it for us. So we just had to clarify what all of our official platform links were across all platforms, so that they wouldn't remove those. And then they are currently working through removing every single fake one. There's also like a new system they've introduced where you can report fake profiles and intellectual property a lot easier. So that's also like, if I see something now, I just do that. But yeah, it was really challenging for it. Like, I think what happened was it felt so so out of our control. Because I turned 40, this is what it really was. I turned 40 in December, and I think it's still happening, but like there were people posting pictures or these fake profiles and it said, "Happy 40th birthday to me. No one's wished me happy birthday. Please wish me a happy birthday." It was still happening in March. Like, I would never write that. One, but also, like, who would? And that just bugged me a bit, because
there must be people with very small minds and a lot of time on their hands. Clearly.
And but it got huge. These fake pages would get huge engagement, but see, there's also, and that's where Mike is great at flipping it, because there's a silver lining. Like, that just raises the awareness of our profile.
It does in a sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so what was the reaction like when he really defended you and said, "Look, my wife isn't an object"?
Yeah.
What was the feedback like?
It was beautiful. Like, it was just incredible. Like, the comments were amazing. The comments in supporting of Mike and the man that he is were just incredible as well. And it also helped me be like, okay, right, my man's got my back. We can keep doing this. And it's just a matter of also, like, as we all need to do, is like, what am I filtering for here? Like, I've got to keep filtering for that positive aspect of it. And like, why are we doing it? We're doing it because it's led to an incredible lifestyle we can lead. But like, first and foremost, it's the fun and it's the joy that.
And that radiates from you sitting here, and certainly from all your posts and your reels.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
So what about pranking Mike?
I know. Do you know what? A lot of people are like, "Why don't you prank him?" The issue is, like, and I have, but it's like a one-up. So if I get him, he's going to get me back even worse. And I don't have that energy.
I think you need to be thinking about a jolly good prank, actually.
I've got him like once before with like a egg on his forehead. We were like pretending to bake, and I like smashed it on his forehead. It made like raw egg, such a mess. Actually, when you asked before about like the best joke was that the one I resonated the most with was the little helper, but the best prank he played on me was he put an raw egg down the back of my pants and smashed it. I can like still like, I'm like clenching my legs together because I can still feel the egg. Like,
were
disgusting.
you on your way out to an event, or were you?
No, thank goodness. I just exercised in the garage and I was like making a protein shake. And the thing was, he'd shown me another guy doing it to his partner. So like, I knew it had happened. I didn't know that he was about to do that to me at all. He'd set up cameras because there were quite a few questions about like, did I know what was happening? He'd set up cameras and he's like, "I'm just going to play an audio to you." So I just thought, well, I'll keep making a protein shake. Next minute, there's a raw egg down my back of my pants.
Classic, because I saw you both at CreatorCon last year, and it was a really intriguing conversation that you both had that inspired everybody in the room. About your journey, I guess, but he does need a little pranking back, I suspect.
I know. If you've got any ideas, send them my way. Ones that like, I don't know, I can sneak under the radar somehow.
So how does he create new content ideas? Is he looking online all the time for sourcing material?
He does a lot of research. Gets ideas from other people. There's such a big community that are like right behind what he does, what he creates, or what we create, and they'll send ideas in too.
So cool.
He's got like a couple of like I mean, some people like kind of miss the mark a little bit sometimes. That's cool. But he's got like a few that he's like, actually, these guys are like bang on the money. And then the other thing is we've got connections with a few other couples and they're mainly in the States that do similar content to what we do. And we've got like a little group chat where we share ideas amongst ourselves, which is really cool because it's also, they kind of understand the work that, the work that we do. It is a job. It is a real job. It's like people like to say it's not a real job. It makes us money, and we also have a lot of fun doing it. So,
which is a fabulous, I guess, job to have.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of your audience, have you worked out, I guess, proportion to the volume?
Yeah.
How much of it is New Zealand based, and how much of it is Australian? American?
The biggest portion of the audience is actually in the States. 30% is American, and then it's spread across the world. So Australia, the UK, New Zealand, India features in there. So the biggest portion is actually in the US, which is...
So you could literally do a world tour. Mike and
cool.
Jojo could go on tour and take your comedy skits across the world.
That would be amazing. And what a cool thing. Like, we'd have to take the boys with us, obviously. I don't know if I'd be down for homeschooling though.
And I'm going to ask you about that because what would you do if either son turned around and said, I'm going to have my own career in this? Because
they do, they actually do talk about it now. I want to be a YouTuber. They've said that before, and it's like, well, okay, you could, but right now we want you to be. It's really important to learn to read and write at school. You can keep up all your sport. Like they don't have phones. They don't have their own devices. So that's probably something we'll have to face when they're teens, maybe. I guess we'll be supportive. It's depending on what kind of content they're wanting to create too. At the moment, one wants to be in All Black and one wants to go on the Surf World Tour. So
sporty like the parents.
Yeah.
Because I'll take it back to I guess content, because at CreatorCon, at that event, at the after party, I was absolutely blown away. I sat in the corner with a group of women having a few glasses of wine, few too many, and a beautiful dinner, and a chap rocked up and sat behind us and literally had his own table and had these multiple screens appeared.
Oh, wow.
And he was live streaming. And at the time, I didn't even know what live streaming was.
Were you guys on it?
No. We were actually behind it.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, I was just fascinated.
Yeah.
And he came over and he asked me whether I would watch, in his words, my gear for me while I pop out for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I anticipated that I would be watching over all of the equipment.
Yeah.
Indeed, what happened was he actually took all the equipment, and what I was in charge of was a plate of food. And he had been sat there live streaming, just eating to all his audience. And we're talking a large audience. And I was just fascinated. But
people watch that.
But they do. They do.
I think, and do you know what? I think a big part of it is which is super sad, is and I think that's a lot where possibly the fake pages and the high engagement on them comes from people are lonely, so lonely across the world, and it feels like they've got some company, and I think again, why our content works is because it is joyful, it is light, it is a break from the negativity that is around, all the negativity that is online. I don't read the news, but if you're reading the news, there's generally nothing positive in it. And so maybe that is a big part of it, is just someone was eating their dinner and just having a chat, and I guess if you wrote something, someone was going to chat back to you.
It didn't actually look like there was any interaction happening.
Oh,
it was like
a live stream,
of just eating, and I was so
gosh,
fascinated by that. I'd not seen that before.
No. I don't know if I'd sit there and I'd have to really watch my manners.
Well, I know this for a fact, and that from someone within OnlyFans, that one of the highest watched videos in that realm is of women eating while they're naked.
Oh my goodness.
It's a new happening thing, apparently.
Wow.
So people, horses for courses, I say.
Actually, so on the OnlyFans thing, because people ask what's your spicy link all the time, and that's not not.
What's your spicy link?
What's my spicy link?
Is it a common phrase?
That's a common phrase. Or
Oh, wow.
I'll just get OF ? In my DMs, and it's like, because there are couples that do comedy like us, and then they also do OnlyFans. That's not for us. It's nothing we're going to do. But the whole foot thing, because so we're Kiwis, we're barefoot a lot, and I think because the part of the audience is a large proportion is American, they're not used to people being bare feet. Apparently, I have like some of the sexiest feet around. I really don't. Like Mike's like, you serious? But people will ask for foot photos
because there's only feet, and I have joked with my partner actually
about going on there,
actually just try to see what that world looks like.
I know, isn't it crazy?
And so and it is just feet. And so he said, go for gold if you want to have a crack at that, and it just be only feet. And I said, well, you need to have like a few girls' feet to make it a bit more interesting, to create a
group shot.
Yeah. And so it's I find it all really fascinating,
isn't it?
Yeah. What is the worst advice that someone has given to you that you haven't solicited about your? I guess this is your career. This is your life.
Good question.
What's the worst advice someone's told you that you've just thought, chuck that in the fucker bucket? We are doing what we are doing.
Oh, I think like someone's just said like, who are you to do this or say that? Like, who are you? You know what? Well, I'm me. Like tried to bring you down. I think that's not even advice. It's just questioning what position we have. Actually, someone just recently asked, what are my credentials? Like,
what are your credentials?
Yeah, some old man. And he was like, and then he put a clown face. So I happily.
What are your credentials?
And it was on one of my health videos, actually, or one of my coaching videos. And it was about, it wasn't a joke. It wasn't funny. It was quite serious about people, like, very kindly me talking about if you're really stuck in the state of procrastination, you're feeling overwhelmed about taking one small action. It was delivered in a very kind way. And he just like wrote, what are your credentials? You're just the woman that laughs. And so I very happily wrote back this like list and then was like, also, I hope you can find some joy in your day, champ. Like,
did you hear back?
No, nothing. Yeah. It's just, it's funny. So I think that like, who are you to be doing what you're doing? Well, we're doing what we're doing because we're doing, and you're commenting on it, so you're helping us. Thank you very much.
Well, it's brought an enormous amount of joy to millions of people around the globe.
Thank you.
And it's been a real privilege to have you here, Jojo. I'm going to ask you a few questions, because I know that we're living in a social media world, and so for anybody new starting out, what would you recommend in terms of building an audience?
I think my key thing is always like, if your audience will come to you if you remain true to yourself. So what you're sharing has got to be not to fit what you think someone else will want. If you're speaking to, it's again like if I'm coaching a client, and then I will create my social media to fit what I said to her is what hundreds of other women need to hear. So I'll create it that way. And that's also true to myself. Sometimes I will post something and I'm like, I needed that today, so it's very true. Stay true to yourself.
So authenticity
is huge. And people relate to that. People will come to you. Mike's biggest thing, which he would say, is to be consistent. Just show up. And also, yes, you can be really clever with your editing and how you film things now, but like, you don't need to be perfect. It's like, it's just post it. Don't have a draft folder full. It's a waste of time. Like, get it out there.
So when you say consistent, we're talking about the regularity of posting?
Yeah, so he posts every single day and has done. So we went to listen to James Smith, who was a personal trainer who had made a presence for himself through social media, and he's now written a couple of books. And that's basically, he said, I challenged myself for 30 days or 100 days to create a new habit. And we're like, what would you do if it was? And so Mike was like, I'll post every day for 100 days. And he's posted every day for maybe 2 years now.
Wow. Because about a year ago, maybe a bit longer ago, I was challenged to do a 60-day live on my Instagram.
Wow.
I lasted about 4 days,
Yeah.
and then I gave up the ghost because you might have
engagement wasn't
no,
there.
and so you might have like 10 people, 15 people, 20 people, and then it drop away, and then
Yeah.
you're there with 2 or 3, and it just gave me the
Yeah, that is, and that can be quite disheartening too. Hey,
very different because I've
yeah.
got a teeny tiny following. I'm not
Yeah.
like the Legg
Yeah.
family with your massive.
But then
following.
even you see that, like, it's all relative, like, I mean, there might be a couple of million, but then you might have only not only 5,000, but there's 5,000. Like, that's so small compared to the amount of following that you've got actually showing up. So it's just, even if there is like 1 or 2 people there, they're showing up to hear what you've got to say. Like, you're making a difference for them, and just keep with it. I think do the challenge again.
Yeah, well, that's a challenge. That's a
Stick
challenge
with
to
it.
bond, perhaps.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask you about in terms of the algorithms and timing of when you post.
Yeah.
Has that made a difference to engagement? Given that you got a lot of followers, 30% in the US. Are you looking at time zone that works for that?
First thing in the morning is best for us because it works for a global audience. Like Kiwis and Aussies are kind of just waking up. The other side of the world, they've been up for a while, ages, and that just seems to be first thing in the morning. And if you look at your insights are really helpful on the platform. So if you have a professional account, I think you can see your insights. Really don't. I wouldn't focus so much on like your follower numbers. Focus on your engagement and when people are engaging, and use that to your advantage, because that's how you're going to get people when they are on online and ready to receive information or be entertained. Because if you do, like, I've recently been said to Mike, I was watching my own like follow account, and like I think I had like a negative balance of like follow unfollows, and he was like, you just can't, like, you can't follow that too much, because we can get thousands of followers in a day, and then you can lose like several. That next day it can really go up and down.
Up and down, yeah. Do you find that you've got some people that jump in and jump out, and other same people that jump in and then jump out?
Well,
again?
you kind of like, I think because the numbers are so high, you don't notice the actual names, but there so would be. And like, there's probably times where people were just like, okay, I'm sick of these two. Like, I mean, I've got like really good friends that are just like, I'm so sick of seeing your faces, I had to unfollow you. Like, it's totally like, I get it. Like, we're everywhere. It's fine. Like, so it happens. People, you can be in someone's life for a season, and then they're like, okay, I'm feeling good now. I'm done.
I've noticed for me on the gram, which is where I'm the most engaged, I guess, is that I get far more responses from stories than I do from posts.
Yes.
Like, I mean, it's unbelievable, the differential. Is it similar for you?
I think so, yes, because people are like, generally when you're posting on like stories, it's real life, it's happening now, and again, like the whole authenticity thing. As an audience, people kind of want a bit of your life, or who you are, or what's happening. So it's that they feel like they're involved in that, and it's easy just to click a button rather than. I think one thing to never become too disheartened with is like, even if you think of yourself as a viewer on a platform, like I will watch a reel sometimes, and I'll be like, that's awesome. I swipe away. I didn't like it. I didn't comment. Like, there's so many people that do that as well. So to even get a like or a comment is big anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to be more active, I guess, as a creator, knowing that the other creators want that engagement. So if I do really like something, I will make sure I comment now, because
I'm really hopeless, and I've become more aware of it now. Sometimes at the stories that I watch, or if somebody puts a comment on my story and I don't like it back, and apparently someone said to me, Ellie, you need to be really engaging with everybody that engages with you.
If you can, yeah. It makes a big difference for your audience feels valued, and it can get hard when your numbers get really high, but it's also like you can manage your comments, like if you're getting like really nasty comments, you can delete and hide them. You can have keywords to have certain comments not show up. So there are ways you can manage it without having to be in there all the time as well. But
I'm so lucky. I haven't had one nasty comment, but I guess, my Insta started with a cancer journey.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that there's going to be anyone out there that really trolls
No.
someone going through a cancer journey.
No, they
If
shouldn't
were,
at all.
They'd be pretty bloody sick if
They would.
if they were. That's for sure. But yeah, it's been an absolute privilege to have you here, Jojo, and please keep sharing and inspiring all of us to laugh more. And
Well,
I know that on the way driving up here, a post got sent out without your knowledge, and it had Mike actually in an RIP state.
yeah.
And so, yeah, that keep that stuff going. The world needs far more joy, laughter, authenticity, and yeah. It's been an absolute privilege again.
Thank you.
And to all my viewers and listeners, remember to love your life and own your journey.